Today's PPT.
No, it's not there.
Training and selection. The fourth one I have just shared it in the chat.
Today's chat, no, it's not there.
In today's chat.
Probably she must have joined late. Are you there in the group, ma'am?
Yes, I'm there in the group.
I am sharing it in the group.
Fine. Okay. Thank you.
It's okay. Once
Yeah.
again, after the class, I'll try to share it in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So yes, now we'll be discussing about methods of training. What all methods can we use in order to train the employees in an organization? So the methods include cognitive methods, computer-based methods, behavioral methods, case studies, role plays, on-job versus off-job training methods. So we'll be discussing all these methods of training in detail. So first, let us discuss about cognitive methods. So cognitive methods are of three types: lecture method, demonstration method, and discussion method. So, you know about cognition, right? Whenever we are talking about cognition, what does it mean by cognition?
Eye to eye contact, like direct, like seeing each other, like coordinating directly.
Okay. So whenever we are talking about cognitive methods of learning, right, we are talking about active usage of our brain and mental processes in order to gain information. So our brain would be actively involved in gaining knowledge and information when we are talking about cognitive methods. So that includes lecture method, demonstration method, and discussion method. So when we are talking about lecture method, it is the base of any other kind of training method. Either you take demonstration, it involves lecture. Either you take discussion, it also involves lecture, right? So in a lecture method, we use more of oral speaking, right? Oral communication. We communicate with others using oral. Lecture can be both interactive and also non-interactive, right? You would be lecturing the others, but you won't be giving others the chance to respond to your lecture. That is non-interactive. So once you are done with your lecture, you're also giving others the chance to speak or share any of their views. Then that is called as interactive lecture. So any of the other methods, either computer-based training, any on or off-job training methods, include lecture as a part of it. But sometimes what happens is that lecture becomes more of boring because there would be only oral communication involved in it, right? So if the lecture is paired with other kinds such as discussion or demonstration wherein you can view, for example, now you can view the slides as in you are able to look at it, right? So whenever I am speaking, if you have something to concentrate, if you have something to focus on it, then it would be more interesting. If not, if I won't be showing any of the slides or something, my lecture won't be that effective, right? So it is important for us to see that our lecture shouldn't be very much boring. So we have to keep it interactive. We have to use some of the cues which makes the lecture interacting and interesting. So this is lecture is mostly oriented towards theoretical knowledge. Then comes demonstration. In demonstration, what happens is that lecture can be both offline and online. Even if it is offline or online, it is same effect. It would be same effective. Talking about demonstration, whenever we are talking about demonstration, right, it is the act that we would be showing the individual or the employee how to perform particular work or task. We would be, you are, for example, we are doing our practicals, right? There would be some apparatus. We would be showing you how to use that apparatus, how you would be using this on the particular subject, what all would be involved in this process. Everything would be demonstrated to the employees steps to step. So as it involves practical knowledge, the employee would be knowing how to do and how to use that particular material or apparatus. It is more effective when it is offline, as in when it is face to face in the office settings or organization settings. But it can also happen online. Practical demonstration can be also online, but that won't be that much effective if the demonstration is online. But it would be effective when it is offline. And also it helps in reduction of errors when the employee knows how to do it. And also in demonstration, what happens once the trainer or the one who would be showing the employee how to do it, they will also ask the employees to use that, how to check that if they understood all the process or not. Then it would help them in reduction of errors because they know what all process to follow. Then comes discussion method. So this discussion method is often paired with lecture method because we use oral script and all, right. So discussion is two-way communication wherein it involves interaction in lecture. So in discussion, what happens? A group of people come together. Group of employees come together. They interact with each other. So they would be given some particular task to be done. So in these, there would be three steps. What they would be doing is that first they would be elaborating the information given to them. Then they would be explaining it to each other, what all they would be discussing between each other, what all could be done, how can it be done, what all ideas can be implemented. Each and every member of the group who is a part of the discussion, they would be sharing their insights. So after sharing their insights, they would be implementing that. They would be doing some particular task given to them. After the task is done, then they would be evaluating whether the goals and objectives of this task are met, whether the task they did is effective or not, the performance of them is effective or not. They would be checking that. So because you are interacting with each other, it also enhances your interpersonal skills, communication skills. The discussion method makes an individual efficient both performance wise and also behavior wise because they would be learning communication basic skills like communication skills, interpersonal skills, and also task performance skills. That is about discussion method. Then comes computer based training. So in this computer-based training, whatever training is given to the employee, that would be online, based on online. As in, you can only access that training via using computers or laptops or any of your mobile devices as such. So what is the, for example, in order to learn graphics, multimedia, you can't learn it effectively when the lecture is given or when it is demonstration, right? So when it is computer based, because the work is mostly computer based, so it would be effective when you learn it using computer or laptop. Right. And also one of the benefit which the computer based training has is that you can access it anywhere and anytime wherever you are. For example, talking about lecture method, demonstration or discussion, you have to go to that particular spot or the environment wherein that particular discussion or demonstration is being done. But talking about computer based training, you can be at your home or in your office surroundings or anywhere outside, and also you can get access to that training. You can listen to the videos or whatever is being told in that training procedure. And one of the important advantage in computer based training is that the individual has different pace, right? So every individual has their own pace, so one can learn very faster and the other the speed of learning would be slower for the other person. So in computer based training, what happens is that you can access the material according to your own pace. You can rewind the training material, or you after the training is done, you can also get access to that training material because you have the access to record the classes. For example, talking about our own class, right? So this is online class. If it is online, you won't be having that facility to go back and collect that information, right? But it is online, you have the facility to record and you can go back and view it in YouTube whenever you have doubt, right? So it is very much useful because you can review the content, you can listen to it whenever and wherever you are. So it is very much useful in such scenario. Another computer-based training technique is that virtual training methods, right? You know, virtual training, when we are talking about, can you tell me what is meant by virtual training? Yes.
ఏ డౌట్ అది
Virtual training is something what we currently what we are getting the classes. Something like so, anything which is taken in the platform of e-basis.
Okay. So when we are in these virtual training method, when we are talking regarding the organization, we know that so in these type of training methods, in these type of training methods, what the organization does is that they would be creating the situation wherein the employee would be able to access to that situation using there would be some virtual games, right? Even though you won't be in that situation, also putting that some of the technologic events, that objects, you would be able to view that it is going on in front of you. So even in these virtual or 3D training mechanisms, what happens is that these technology enhances us to use get interacted with the situation wherein you will feel that you are in that situation and you will be knowing how to deal with that situation. So but this is not used very much in many of the organizations. It is the rare technique or training method which is used by the organizations, because it is very much expensive to bring all that technological material or objects, and also it is very much time consuming, right, costly. So we won't be using these virtual or 3D training mechanisms mostly, but it is one of the training method which can be used. Then comes behavioral training method. So in behavioral training method, what we do is that first there would be 4 steps in this behavioral training method. That is instructions, modeling, rehearsal and feedback. So in instruction, what happens is that the trainer, whoever is training the employee, he or she would be explaining the aims, goals and objectives of this training method. Then what the instructor does is that he would be telling how he would be giving a model. I mean, he would be telling you how to do, what to do, what behavior you have to enact, everything he would be showing you lively. Then after that, he would be asking you to rehearse it. Whatever the trainer have shown you to do, you have to rehearse it. As in, you have to imitate the trainer. Whatever he does, whatever the behavior he would be doing, you have to imitate it. Then after you are being imitated, you have rehearsed whatever the trainer have shown you. Then he would be giving feedback whether you were effective in doing that techniques or skills trained by the trainer, or else if you are ineffective, then he or she would be giving any other methods wherein you can be effective. Then again, after giving modeling, he will be again asking you to rehearse that. Then again, he would be giving feedback until and unless you become effective in that particular skills. So these behavioral training methods can include games, behavioral modeling, and role plays. So talking about games, right? So these behavioral training method can include some games wherein that games would include cooperation and coordination. They would bring a team of people and they would be giving a task as in a game wherein the efforts of all the members of the team are important. So if even one member of the team is not putting efforts into playing that game, they can't complete that game. For example, any of the puzzle game or something, some of the puzzles would be with one of the employee, and every employee has certain puzzles. So everyone have to put equal effort to solve that puzzle, because each employee has certain pieces of puzzles with them. So if there is no coordination and cooperation between the members of the team, they won't be able to finish that game. So they use this time for stimulation or games in order to enhance team spirit and interpersonal relationship between members in the organization. Then comes behavioral modeling. In behavioral modeling, what happens is that the employees would be shown some of the behavior wherein in an organization there are many incidents, right? There would be many incidents wherein some taking up projects or conducting any fest or something. So they would be asking the employees to look at the behavior of the other individual, how he or she is behaving in that situation. Then they will be asking the employees, if you would be in that situation, what you would be doing. he or she can't be saying that they would be behaving in the same manner, but they have to give different alternatives and their own ideas how they would be dealing with that particular situation. They have to come up with their ideas after looking at the original situation. That is behavioral mode. Then talking about role plays, in role plays what happens is that there would be two members or more members in a group. They would be given a scenario wherein each of them would be given a role. For example, in our college or something, in our final year, right? So in order to know whether you have learned counseling skills correctly or not, I would want to check whether you have learned all the skills related to counseling, how you would be dealing with the client. Then I would be using role plays wherein I would be picking two of the members from the class, and I'll be giving the role of counselor to one of the individual, and for the other individual I would be asking them to play the role of client. And I would be giving a scenario wherein the client comes with a certain particular depression or anxiety issues. The client would be coming to the counselor. Then the client, the one who is playing the client, has to act as the client, as in he or she would be saying that I am having a certain symptoms, and based on that this counselor has to decide uh, what is the problem the client is dealing with, and how he or she is going to deal with that. So that is about role plays, in order to know whether the employee or the student has learned particular skills or not. And it also helps, for example, one being in a managerial role and the other is the employee, right? If you role exchange or a role reversal is there, they would be also able to understand what all if sometimes the employees would be feeling that the leader is not effective, he or she is not considerate towards the employee. But when the employee is given the role of the leader to play, then he or she would be knowing what all difficulties a leader has to face, how he or she would be uh, dealing with all those stressors, right? So there would be inclusivity in the organization, communication skills will be enhanced, right? Interpersonal skills will be enhanced, understanding the other individual would be enhanced in role plays. So that is about behavioral training method. Then comes in-basket technique. So in this in-basket technique, what happens is that the organization or the management, the one who is training, gives very much a lot of information to the trainee. I mean, the employee who is getting trained, they would be giving text format, any videos related to that particular event. They would be giving records. They would be maintaining some records, right? Who did this, what did they do in that particular situation, all the information related to either it is text, written format, oral format, videos, audios, anything related to that information is given to that subject, that trainee. Then what happens, they would be given a period of time. For example, I have given the information to any one of my student in order to give insights about that particular topic. So if I ask you to, for example, let us take about social phobia, right? So if I ask you, give you information regarding social phobia, I mean case study. If I give you case study that certain individual is having social phobia, these are all the symptoms, and I would be giving you certain time. I would be giving you 1 week time. Within these 1 week, you let me know how you would be dealing with this client, what all techniques can be used, and how can it be used. So even in the organization also, they would be giving information regarding some particular project or something. There would be a time gap given. So within that time gap, the trainee has to evaluate all those material given to him. So after the time gap is done, then the management or the trainer asks what all insights you can be giving in that particular situation, and also what all ideas the employee gives, right? He or she has to justify the ideas also, why he would be using these particular method or these particular idea in this particular situation. He has to justify it. So because of this, what happens is that it enhances the decision making skills of the employee, analytical skills, because he is analyzing all the material, right? After analyzing all the materials given, he would be able to think of ideas, right? How to solve this problem. Problem solving skills will be enhanced, analytical skills will be enhanced. That is about in basket technique. Then comes on the job training methods and off the job training methods. So can you tell me what is the difference between on the job training methods and off the job training methods?
On-job assignments will be given, uh, where we will be assessed and trained well how to perform more on those assignments. Whereas in the off-job training, mostly it will be like e-training, means work from home, where how to do and all works, how to work better way for the organizations and all training will be.
So in on the job training is that mostly the training happens along with the job. You won't be leaving the job responsibilities or anything. The job goes on, you will be doing your work. Whenever you are doing work, at the same time, simultaneously, you would be receiving training. At the same time, you would be also receiving training for the skills or development of knowledge or anything. You won't be free of your job responsibilities or anything, and also these would be provided by the organization itself, and it is of a very minimal cost, right? Because your productivity is not affecting, your performance is not affecting, you are not leaving your works, and you are not burdening it for others, right? So it is not cost effective, your performance will be continuously done. So this would be natural setup, and it would here the training would be given by a trained evaluator or trained trainer. He or she would be having experience in training. The organization would be bringing that trainers in order to train the employees. So there are certain methods in the on-job training method, that is coaching method. In coaching method, what happens is that the trainer would be giving you guidance how to perform a particular task. If, for example, if an employee is given a particular project to work on, he or she is having doubts how to go on this project forward or something. So they are having doubts, right? So in such situations, what happens is that the trainer would be giving some insights, some guidance, so that they would be they would coaching the employee how to move further in that project. That is about coaching method. And job rotation. So in order to enhance the skills of the employee, they would be using job rotation. For example, if one of the employee is working in sales department, right? He or she is working in sales department, so he has the skills and knowledge based on that particular role in the sales department. So there would be a sales executive, sales manager, there would be different positions, right? There will be different roles. And also in other departments also there will be different roles. So the same employee would be rotated on different roles. For example, he might be sales executive once, then he would be converted to marketing executive. So he would be enhancing his skills, or a marketing manager, right? Manufacturing expert. He would be rotated to different roles, so that the employee would be gaining skills and knowledge of that job also, so that if there is any problem or a lack of employees in that particular department, these employee can be shifted to that role, so there would be no pitfalls for the organization, and even the employee would be able to learn and gain knowledge regarding to all the roles. Then comes job instructional technique. So in this job instructional technique, what happens is that the trainer would be telling the employee what to do, how to do, from step to step, right? How it would be done, what will be done, what is the first step to be taken. After first step is done, what would be the second step, and from second step to third step, how you will be moving, right? What all resources you would be needing to move from second step to third step, and what would be the final step, how you would be reaching from first step to the final step. what all blockages can be coming in your way, how you would be removing all that barriers and moving forward. Everything would be explained. All the instructions would be given to the employee in job instructional technique, right? Then comes team assignments. So in team assignments, they would be taking a group of people and they would be converting them into team. When we are talking about team, they would be having a collective goal. So all these members have to work towards that collective goal. He or she has to share the insight, right? And also the one would be sharing one information, the other would be coming with the other information. Whole of the information would be clubbed and would be used to move towards their goals. That is about team assignment. They use team assignments in order to enhance interpersonal relationships, right? Coordination, cooperation skills. They use team assignments. Then comes off-job training methods. So when we are talking about off-job training methods, employees are completely separated from the job duties. They won't be performing their regular jobs, right? So they won't be having any work related to their roles or something. They would be entirely separated from the organization setup. They would be taken to the other setup wherein only training will be given to the employees. Here the employees can solely focus on the training. So they can, it is very much effective, right? Because they are not multitasking. They are not focusing on two tasks at a particular time, right? They don't have stress that they should also complete their organizational duties or roles, right? So here the employee has to only focus on the task given or the training given. He or she would be learning the skills. So it would be effective because the employee will be focusing only that particular training and there is no distractions or disturbances the employee has. So the examples of these include role play. So we have just uh, taken an example of role plays, right? So that is about role plays. Even in the organization also there would be role plays in order to enhance interpersonal skills, communication skills, inclusivity, right? For example, if there is some dominating behavior or a bullying behavior in an organization, then they would be taking that particular scenario and who are involved in that, then they would be giving some roles for them to play and they would, so the other person would be knowing how it feels to be insulted or bullied. So that can be also one of the role plays, or the employee can take a manager role, manager can take a employee role, right? So all that would be included in role plays. Then comes case studies. In case studies, what happens is that the employee is given in-depth knowledge about a particular task. Right? For example, there are different projects in an organization. Each employee would be dealing with different projects or different works, right? So these employee would be given in-depth knowledge related to the work which the employee is doing. For example, the trainer comes and give so if I give you a case wherein the client comes to you saying that he or she has dog phobia, that is cynophobia. It is called as cynophobia. So he or she comes to you and you would be studying this case, right? When you are studying this case, you would be looking at the symptoms. What was the when was the first time he or she has experienced it, even it is from childhood or it has started recently, what all symptoms he or she is having. You would be studying that particular case in depth from the childhood to present. Till present you would be studying every detail related to that case, so you'd be having in-depth knowledge related to that particular work or the case you take up. That is about case studies. Then programmed instructions is that there would be some programming jobs, right, as in coding and something. So they will train you how to do that, what to do that in a particular environment wherein you will be solely focused on learning that coding instructions and everything. That is about off job training methods. So before closing these methods of training, one more important training method which is given in organizations is called as T groups or sensitivity training. So any one of you have what is sensitivity training, idea of sensitivity training? Any one of you have the idea of sensitivity training?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So this is one of the important training method which everyone of you has to know. So you all know empathy, right? You will be hearing empathy in psychology many of times, even in your counseling paper, your clinical psychology paper. You'll be using this word many a times. When we are talking about sensitivity training, so in an organization, these comes from group dynamics, right? In an organization, there would be different groups, different people come together. They would be interacting with each other, right? Interactions would be common in an organization. So when these type of interactions are present, it is natural for an individual to react in some particular way. So if one of the individual in a group behaves aggressively or impulsively, the other individuals might not be taking it in the correct manner, and also these particular individual who is behaving aggressively won't know what his or her behavior is doing to the other members of the group. So in sensitivity training, what they do is that they would bring all the employees as a group, and they would be giving training how to treat other employees, how your values and ethics would be affecting the other individual, or how your behavior would be having an effect on the group of people or the other individual who you would be interacting with. So knowing how your behavior affects the other and how others behavior would be affecting you, so you would be able to regulate your behavior, manage your emotions, and also enhance good behavior. Right? Good behavior as in you would be following ethical rules and values while behaving with others. You'd be seeing that your behavior is in a proper conduct, right? So that is about sensitivity training. So these sensitivity training can happen three ways. There are three ways in which we can do this sensitivity training. One is we called it as stranger group. So when we are talking about stranger group, people from different organizations come together, interact with each other, and so these in these training, people from different organizations come together. They would be interacting with each other. They would be knowing about each other's values, roles, what all rules and regulations are taken into consideration in their organization and your organization. Then you would be interacting with each other. You would be knowing what all they are going through, what all projects they are taking up, right? How much work stress they are having or something. So during these interaction, you would be able to understand others' perspective, how they would be dealing with this. That is about stranger group. Then comes cousin group. It is called as cousin group, wherein people from same organization from but from different departments, as in some of the people would be coming from sales department, marketing department, manufacturing department, right? For example, it is the college or any school, then they would be coming from different departments: psychology department, sociology department, journalism department. There are different departments, right? So same organizations, but people come from different departments and they come together and they would be discussing issues. They would be interacting with each other, what all works they have. They would be interacting, they would be knowing how one would be dealing with the others. Then they would know how to behave, right? How to work. Their working capacity will also be enhanced because they are sharing their insights, and also they are receiving the insights. They would become sensitive towards the people of other department. They would be having that sensitivity that they wouldn't be taking it easy and criticizing the other departments people, because now they know what effort they put into their department. The same as you, they would also be working harder. They would also be doing work related to the department, so you would be valuing their work and also your work. So you develop that sensitivity towards other department individuals. Then comes the other group, that is family group. So in these family group, people from the same organization, same department comes together. It is very important because with the same department people, we would be interacting daily, right? Even though we have different work, we are working on the different subjects. So for example, in these psychology department also you are having different papers, right? Organizational psychology, counseling psychology, personality psychology, right? So all of these people would be coming together and they would be interacting with each other, so that you know how to interact with each other. You would be developing some sensitivity towards them, so that you won't be reacting impulsively or aggressively. Before reacting, you would be thinking, and you would be having some sensitivity towards the other people, because you know that now your behavior would also be affecting the other individual, and other individual will also be knowing that his or her behavior would be affecting you and also the whole group, whoever is involved in that. That is about sensitivity training. It is one of the most important training which most of the organizations give to their employees. Got it right?
Yes, ma'am.
So clear with this?
Yes, madam.
Clear with training methods, or any doubts in the training methods?
No, ma'am.
So now the next topic we are going to deal is about performance evaluation. So tell me, is performance evaluation necessary? Is it important?
Yes, ma'am. That is how the growth of the organization is being measured.
Okay. So just imagine you go and write your exams. Okay, you go and write your exams. After writing your exams, you know that your paper won't be evaluated. It has no meaning, even though after writing exams also your paper won't be evaluated. There won't be any grades given. You would be promoted to the next academic year or something. So would you put in efforts? Would you put in same effort when your paper is being evaluated, when you are being awarded grades? So will you keep efforts?
We keep efforts when we are getting awards, and means like we are getting awarded.
Yes, because
Otherwise, it is like a social laughing. It's okay. Some for this.
anyways you would be getting promoted to the other class. Whatever you write, you just attempt the paper, you go, and even if you write songs in the paper also, no one would be evaluating your performance. Whatever you write, you'd be promoted to the next academic year. So you won't be putting effort. You'd not be listening to classes, you won't be attending the classes, right? Because you know that your performance, anyways, whatever you write in your paper, that won't be evaluated. But if you know that your paper would be evaluated for sure, they would be giving marks for whatever you write in your paper, then you would be listening to the classes regularly, you would be putting efforts into studying, then you go to the examination hall well prepared, taking all your pen, papers. Uh, when know that your performance will be evaluated, you might be using different pens to write, to highlight, right? Because you definitely know that there would be evaluation of your performance. uh, just imagine your marks, for example, you would be evaluated only based on pass or fail, right? You would be only awarded pass or fail, there won't be any grades. So how much would be your efforts, how much efforts you would be putting into it?
Still, we put a lot of efforts, ma'am, because it's only pass or fail. If we don't put efforts, we won't be passed.
So your efforts would be according to that. There would be some pass marks, right? There would be some 36 marks or something for 100 marks. So you would be only trying to pass, because even if you get the highest mark, no one is going to reward you. It is only pass or fail. But if you take grades, right, when you are having O, A plus A, B plus B, when you are having these type of grades, right? So grading, if there is a grading system, then your efforts would be higher, right? Instead of pass fail, if the evaluation system is only pass fail, or if there is a grading system, then your efforts would be higher, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you wanted to get O or A plus, you wanted to fall only in that range of grades. You don't want to be just pass. So if you get pass mark, you would be in some C or C plus grade. But you just wanted to fall in A plus or O grade. There are some marks criteria is given, right? So your effort would be increased.
Luck factor also plays a major role now. We
Luck.
put a lot of efforts in terms of means like, for example, to get a higher grade, to perform well, we learn all important topics, everything, which we may feel this topic might not be important for us. We may leave.
Yes.
That topic may come in the paper, and the one who are putting more efforts, they may lose. The one who is only targeting for C, they may get A plus. It also luck factor.
But when you are putting more efforts, you know that you wanted to get only O grade, or you have to fall between A plus and O. It is important for us to even focus on all the topics, even if we feel that the topic is unimportant. We shouldn't be focusing on that. We should be just giving a look at that paper, because at any cost you have to fall in the grade range of A plus to O. So the effort differs based on your evaluation. What is your evaluation system? Based on the evaluation system, the effort the employees put would also be different. So it is important for an organization to time to time evaluate the performance of the employee. So in this performance evaluation, so talking about performance evaluation, it is a periodic and systematic process whereby the job performance of an employee is documented and evaluated. So whatever the employee does, whatever works or task he is taking up, after the tasks are done, so after a particular time period of after 3 months or some 6 months, there will be evaluation of the overall performance of that employee. What are tasks and projects the employee has taken up, how many of them has successfully completed, whatever what all the projects is currently dealing with, everything should be evaluated. How effective is that performance? That should be evaluated. So these performance evaluation is mostly based on three factors in an organization, that is task performance, citizenship, and counter productivity. So when we are talking about task performance, how the individual is performing in a particular task, whether he or she is able to complete the goals and objectives given by the organization within the given period of time, or he or she is not even after completing. Also, if the performance is efficient, as in is it up to expected mark, or the actual performance of the employee is below the expected range, everything would be based on that task performance. Goals, objectives would be only regarding the task. Then comes citizenship behavior. In this citizenship behavior, what the organization would be looking at is that whether these employee would be helping to the other employees, whether he or she is being cordial and cooperating with the other employees, what opinion they hold towards the organization, whether they are having positive opinion or the negative opinion, or whether they are spreading any rumors regarding the organization in the group, as in the organization premises or something. So how is the behavior of that particular individual in that organization is citizenship behavior factor. Then comes counterproductivity. When we are talking about counterproductivity, whether the employee is doing any of the works which is turning it against the organization, for example, um, damaging the property of the organization, being absent and not taking too many leaves and not coming to the not coming to work, not respecting organizations rules and regulations, everything comes under counterproductivity. So if your behavior is against the organization's rules and regulations or against the organization, then that is considered as your counterproductive behavior. So based on these three factors, your performance would be evaluated. So can you tell me, out of these three factors, which factors should be on high range and which factors should be on low range?
It all again depends on the case to case, ma'am. Each and every aspect should be maintained important, given important.
Balanced, right? There should be balance between everything. But in most of the organizations, in order to differentiate between good employee and ineffective employer, effective employee and ineffective employee, they see that both task performance and citizenship behavior should be higher. They should be good in tasks and also they should be good at behavior with others, how you are communicating with others, whether you are helping or not, the opinion you are maintaining towards the organization. All that should be high in range. Talking about counterproductivity, that should be low in range. Then the employee would be considered as effective. If even though if the task performance is the high but citizenship behavior is low, then also the employee is not considered as effective employee, because he or she is not behaving cordially with the other employees. Due to that, it might be leading to conflict and just disturbing the harmony of the organization, right? So they won't be considering that employee to be effective employee. But and one of the employee is high on citizenship behavior but low on task performance. So even such scenarios, they wouldn't be considering the employee to be effective, because even though the behavior with other individuals is good, he or she is not being able to do justice to his role, right? He is not performing his task efficiently, so he won't be termed as effective employee. So these three constitutes are given at most importance when we are evaluating the performance of an employee.
Okay, a performance of an individual employee, not as a team.
It can generally, when we are talking about team, right? Evaluation of a team, that would be different from individual evaluation. Because in team, what happens? They would be working towards their collective goal. Everyone would be putting the effort, and the whole team performance would be evaluated. In that, individual performance won't be evaluated. What individual has did, what all their contributions are, how is their behavior. We won't be looking at that. Because in these, when we are talking about citizenship behavior, we are talking about all the employees. One employee would be interacting with all the employees. But when we are talking about team, that citizenship behavior would be only related to team members. How you are with your team members, whether you are acting cordial, cooperative, whether you are giving your insights. That would be only related. Whole team performance will be evaluated rather than the individual performance, when the individual will be part of a team. So we would be even discussing it further. Then comes purpose of performance evaluation. What is the purpose? Why is performance evaluation necessary in an organization? So it helps management to make general human resource decisions about promotions, transfers, and termination. So when the performance of the employee is evaluated, then you would be knowing the actual performance and the expected performance, right? You would be having some expectations from the employee, then you would be comparing that expected performance and actual performance. If you know that actual performance and expected performance is closely related or close to each other, then you would be giving them promotion or any other rewards or perks. If you feel that the performance of the employee is very much lower than what you have expected, then you might demote them, then you might just cancel some of the rewards, giving bonus or something. You might be canceling that rewards. That would be happening. Or else you would be finding to some training needs. You will be knowing that the employee would be needing training in order to improve his skills or abilities. to determine the effectiveness of the employee on the present job, whether the allocated role, the employee is allocated certain role, right, whether he or she is doing justice to that role, he or she is doing that task effectively or not, what is the effectiveness of the present employee on the present job, whether he is the best fit for that job or not, you would be able to know based on the performance evaluation of that particular employee. Then comes evaluations also identify training and development needs. After evaluating, you will be knowing whether if there is any need of training or development or something, right? So then you will be knowing you would be going for some training programs. How many employees need that? You will be grouping all that employees as one group or one team, and then you would be giving them training related to what are skills they are lacking, and then you would be giving that training to them. They pinpoint employee skills and competencies for which remedial programs can be developed. Even though you feel that the employees has that skill, all the employees are possessing that skill, but not that effective. For example, they might be 50% in that skill, particular skill. So you want the employee to be 75% to 90%. Then what you will do is that you would be arranging remedial programs wherein they would be teaching the same skills, but the that would be effective. The employee's would be developed at up to 90%. He would be having knowledge regarding to that skill of 90% knowledge he would be having regarding to that particular skill. Then it helps in providing feedback to employees on how the organization use their performance. After performance evaluation, you would be knowing what feedback to be given, right? If the employee does good, if his performance is up to the mark, then you would be giving positive feedback. If it is not up to the mark, then you would be letting the employee know in which areas he or she has to improve, what all skills or knowledge he has to gain, what all activities he have to do in order to gain that skills and knowledge. Everything would be given in that feedback. It helps in building communication gap between management and the employees. So during this performance evaluation process, the management would be communicating with the employee, right? Even during the feedback process or something. So this communicate, even if the employee feels that there is some of the resources lacking from the management side, the employee can communicate with the management so that even the management knows that they have to give certain resources in order to improve the performance of the employee. And also most important factor which performance evaluation plays is it acts as also a motivational tool. It enhances the motivation of the employee. So tell me, how does it enhance the motivation of the employee performance evaluation?
Ma'am, higher financial earning and productivity,
Okay.
and giving an open opportunity between the managers and the employees.
So in performance evaluation, just now we have discussed about your grades and all, right? When you know that your performance is being evaluated, even after being evaluated, you would be getting feedback. You would be knowing what all tasks you did correctly or not. So that would be motivating you, right? If you know that your performance is being evaluated, you are putting more effort. Why are you putting more efforts? Because you are motivated to get more grades. You wanted to fall in the good grade range. You're motivated, right? So your enthusiasm is being increased because of the performance evaluation. Uh, and also for example, after the feedback, after the performance evaluation is done, even though if you are not good in that particular project given by the organization, the organization would be letting you know wherever you wanted to develop your skills and knowledge, then you would be focusing on that particular skills and knowledge, and you would be motivated enough, right? So this time I was unable to meet the organizational objectives or goal. Next time I would be able to meet that, so I have to work harder. So that would be a motivating factor. So if the organization gives you positive feedback that you did good and you did better, then what you will be doing is that this time I have met the expectations of the organization, and I have to keep up this behavior even in the upcoming projects also. I have to be working harder. So that would be motivating. So performance evaluation or appraisals offer a formal platform for managers to provide constructive feedback. And it is also important whether you would be motivated or demotivated would be mostly dependent on how you would be giving the feedback to the employees. If you, even though if you give negative feedback, or if you wanted to let the employee know that he or she has to improve in a particular task, you should be giving that feedback in a constructive manner. If you give that feedback in a whole negative way, wherein by degrading the employee, by just demotivating the employee, then it would automatically demotivate. They won't be able to work on that particular skills and knowledge. They'll be feeling that whatever they would be doing, you would be eventually criticizing their hard work. Instead of that, if you say that you did well, your hard work was good, but in particular skills you are lacking, you have just 50% efficiency, so try to improve your efficiency in these particular areas. So if you give certain constructive feedback, then they would be knowing that even the management is being considerate towards you. They are explaining you what all you have to develop. So if the management is being considerate, even the employees would be having that feeling that they have to work harder in order to meet the expectations of the organization. Got it right? Then comes methods of performance evaluation. So these methods of performance evaluation can be divided into two main types: traditional methods and modern methods. So in traditional methods, when we are talking about traditional methods, these are the methods which has been used in the past in the organizations, and modern methods, these are being used in today's organizations. What is the difference between traditional methods and the modern methods? I'll be asking you after we are done with both the methods. Okay. So first we'll be dealing with traditional methods. So first one is ranking method. So in this ranking method, how the performance of the employee is evaluated is that so there would be group of employees in an organization, right? So they would be considering all the employees, and they would be ranking each employee based on the other employees' performance, as in from the best to poor performance. Best would be, you would be only comparing with the other individual. You are not seeing the performance of that particular individual, but you are only comparing one employee's performance with the other employee's performance. And after comparing all the employees, you would be ranking them as the best and poor, as the who is the first and who would be the last. And when you are ranking, right, when you are ranking certain employees, they have to be in similar positions. They should be from the same department or something. They should be doing similar work. If they are not doing similar work, how you would be ranking them? Because their work is different, their objectives are different, their goals are different. When everything is different, you can't rank the employees using the same category, right? Their work should be similar. They have to belong to the similar category in order to rank the employees. So, do you find any disadvantage in such method of evaluation? Can you find any disadvantage?
Because it is done on the overall performance, ma'am. Sometimes there may be ups and downs. The low phase will be done in the employers. So sometimes this method may have some kind of drawbacks. Every method has some drawbacks. At the same time, advantages.
Yes. So when we are using a similar category, when we are comparing, it would be okay. But in this, what happens is that you are comparing one employee with the other employee's performance, but individual performance is not being evaluated. Only the performance is being compared. So if one employee is better than the other employee, he would be given first rank. But how well is that employee? Whether he or she is having the skills up to the mark or not, they won't be looking into that. So the organization won't be knowing the individual's ability, individual skills and knowledge. And when they are looking at the whole group, they can look into only certain skills wherein whole group is lacking, but they won't be able to focus on that individual. They can't be giving individual feedback to the members. So that is the drawback in the ranking method. Then paired comparison method. So in this method, what they do is that they would be comparing each and every employee in the organization with the other employee one at a time. For example, if there are 20 employees in a department or something, then what each employee is compared, for one employee is compared with other 19 employees, and one employee to one employee, only one at a time. That comparison would be pairs, only two would be compared at particular point of time. So all the 20 members would be compared to one another. So after comparing one another, out of which they would be ranking the individuals or the employees from 1 to 20 after comparing all the employees. So it is very much time consuming, right? It takes very much time, and it takes very much efforts. Whoever is evaluating, they have to remember uh, what in each employee is having, what skills each employee is having, right? So it is very much time taking. It is expensive because they have to invest very much time, right? So the other productivity or something, other works would be at stake. That is about paid comparison. Then comes forced choice method. So in this forced choice method, there would be certain statements in like a questionnaire. You know questionnaire, right? There would be some statements. Either the statements can be positive or negative. So these statements would be having only two extreme alternatives. Either you can answer yes or no, or you can answer either agree or disagree, either true or false. For example, if I give an employee saying that you are you an extrovert, then the employee has to answer in yes or no. But what happens is that many of the employees feel that sometimes they would be extrovert and sometimes they would be introvert. So there is no middle stance in that. There is no middle alternative. The alternatives are falling on both the extremes. Either you have to agree to it or do you have to disagree. Either you have to say yes or no. So that is the two extremes, right? So it is forced choice. There are only two choice, so between that two choices only you have to choose. Then comes
But there will be a I mean, on 1 to 5 scale there is a 3. They can even mark 3 sometimes. That will justify their answer.
yes, but here we are not talking about that scale wherein we would be using five alternatives. They are having only two alternatives and also on the extreme sides. That is about forced choice. If the questionnaire or the statements which the organization has prepared, only two choices and both on the extreme, that is yes, no, agree, disagree, true, false, then that is forced choice.
In these questionnaires, ma'am, they are posting 2 questionnaires. Means like in the test, to know whether at what point they are extroverts, at what point they are introverts. Then the similar questions they are posting out of 50. Suppose 50 questions they are asking us to answer. In that, they are trying to analyze where we are introverts and where we are extroverts. If one understands exactly what they are, they can use their intelligence and answer it and come out of the situation in a very better.
Yes, I mean, we have other scales wherein it is called as a graphical rating scale, wherein we would be having different alternatives to rate the performance of the individual. But we are only talking about forced choice format. In this type of performance evaluation, they would be given only two alternatives. They have to choose between that two alternatives. That is the reason why it is called as forced choice. When you are talking about giving five alternatives to them or giving a question, a lot of questions regarding to only that particular trait, then there is also other scales which we will be knowing. Then comes checklist method. So in this checklist method, there would be a group of statements given to the rater. There would be someone who would be evaluating the employees, right? So for that rater, there would be a group of statements. So out of that group of statements, the rater has to checklist what all would be suitable for the employee. For example, the employee is punctual. The employee follows rules and regulations. The employee is impulsive. So for that, they have to check whatever is suitable for the employee. They would be tick marking it, and whatever is not suitable for the employee, they would be putting cross marks. So that is about checklist method. If the employee is punctual, they would be putting right mark. If the employee follows rules and regulations, then they would be putting right mark. If they feel that the employee doesn't follow those rules and regulations, then they would be putting wrong mark. So after taking all the statements which are suitable for the employee, then they would be evaluating the employee based on that statements. Then comes critical incidents method. So in the critical incident method, there would be some important situation scenarios in the organizations, right? So during that important and critical situations, how did the employee behave? Whether his insights, whatever his ideas and the insight the employee has given in that particular situation have been effective, whether that has resulted in positive outcomes or negative outcomes, whether the performance of the employee in that particular situations have been effective or not. We would be seeing only related to particular incidents. For example, in an year, there might be three critical incidents where the organization might have gone through. So, in all that three critical incidents, how was the performance of the employee? Whether his insight has led to the poor performance or extraordinary performance, poor outcomes, extraordinary outcomes, all that would be weighed. So one disadvantage of this critical incidents method is that the supervisor or the one who would be rating the employee, evaluating the employee, has to note down how did the employee has reacted to that particular situation. Because if after the incident is done long back in January, and if the evaluator is thinking about that situation in June, then he or she might be forgetting some insights, right? Whatever ideas the employee has given, whatever the employee has contributed, that would be long forgotten. So it is important for the supervisor or whoever is evaluating to write down or note down whatever ideas are given by that particular employee in that critical situation. That is about critical incidents method. Then comes graphical rating scale. So you have asked me about we can take neutral, strongly agree, disagree, as in Likert scale. We can take Likert scale. So in graphical rating scale, what we do is that there would be certain statements related to if you wanted to measure certain trait or a behavior of an employee. So there would be certain statements related to that trait, and you would be having options related to it. It is not forced choice. It is not yes or no. You would be having strongly agree, agree, slightly agree, neutral, right? Slightly disagree, disagree, strongly disagree. Mostly it would be 5 point scale wherein strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. So these would be your alternatives, and these might be these can be 4 point scale, or it can also be 7 point scale. So you'd be having options at what range you are falling on that particular trait. You would be having that options to choose. So that is graphical rating scale. So based on the answers given by the employee or the rater, then the performance of the employees have been evaluated on that particular trait. Then comes essay method. It is the most traditional method, and also the oldest method, and also the simplest method. So in this, what the supervisor or the rater does is that they would be preparing an essay regarding the performance of that particular employee. They have to list what are the strengths of the employee, what are the weaknesses of the employee, what all tasks did the employee take up, how effective were their performance, why are you rating, if you rate them good, why are you rating them good? Everything should be justified. You have to give justification to your every statement, whatever you include in your essay. So one of the drawback of this method is that you can't compare these essays with the other employees, because there is no correct scoring key, right? There is no standardized scoring key to compare. So we can't compare these essays with the performance of the other employees. Then comes field review. So in these field review, what you will be doing is that there would be HR or any other senior member in an organization, right? So they would be calling the supervisor. Who is the supervisor? The manager, or the one who is observing the employees very much closely. So they would be calling that supervisor, and the senior member or the HR would be asking the supervisor to rate the employee, to describe about the employee. So the supervisor would be describing about the employee, what all strengths he has, what all skills he possesses, what are the weaknesses, how he would be behaving with other employees. Everything the supervisor have to write or tell it to the senior member or the HR. Then based on the review given by the supervisor, the employee would be evaluated. Then apart from field review, there would also be peer review. So by the name you can know, right? Peer review. When we are talking about peer review, what is the peer review? Can you tell me what does it mean by peer review?
The friends and the colleagues of the same.
Yes. What they do is that they would be asking their colleagues, whoever is present in the group belonging to that particular individual, they would be calling their colleagues and friends. Then they would be asking the colleagues how he or she would be behaving with the other individual, what is his or her performance on the job, how well he would be attending the meetings, what is his initiation levels, whether he or she would be initiating any activities or not. Everything would be asked to the friends, and then the friends or the colleagues would be giving whatever they feel about that particular employee. Then they would be giving that particular insights. Then there is also other method called as appraisal interview. So in these appraisal interview, what happens is that either the manager, it is between the manager and the employee. As in, when we are talking about manager, here manager is the evaluator. He or she would be evaluating the performance of the employee. This is called as appraisal interview. So in these appraisal interview, the manager would be speaking with the employees. He or she, the manager would be asking the employees, what do you feel about your performance, whether you have performed well or not, what all did you take up, what all skills were involved in your work, where do you think you are lacking in this particular task. The manager would be asking to the employee. So after the employees giving answers to the manager's question, then the manager would be giving feedback to the employees, how is their performance on that particular task or something. Everything would be told to the employee. That is appraisal interview. Then these are modern methods. So shall we continue or shall we stop?
We'll continue.
We'll continue. Okay, so these are the modern methods wherein modern organizations would be using all these methods. So the first one is management by objectives. So when we are talking about management by objectives, in these particular technique, both the employees and the management come together and they would be discussing with each other, coordinating with each other, and they would be setting particular goals and objectives. Right? So when setting goals and objectives, there is equal involvement of both management and also the employees. Who is drawing on the screen? So there would be equal involvement of both management and also the employees. So after setting goals, collective goals, coordinating goals by the management and employees, then the employees would be performing whatever goals are being set. Based on that, the employees would be performing. So during that performance, management would be regularly monitoring their performance. So after monitoring what happens, they would be evaluating the performance, whether so these evaluation would be based on the set goals. So there have been certain objectives and goals set, right? Even the employees has given their input into the uh, objectives being set. So whether the actual performance is meeting the expected performance or not, based on that, their performance would be evaluated. So after evaluating the performance, if the performance has been closer to the expected performance, then there would be appraisal, as in they would be giving some rewards, bonus, or promoting the employees or something. So in these method, what is the advantage is that because the employees are giving their input in the objective framing and goal framing process, they would be working harder, because this is what the objectives or the goals framed even has the input of the employees. They would be framing goals only which they can be reaching, right? So they would be working hard in order to reach that goal. That is about management by objectives. Then comes 360-degree feedback. So it is also known as the multi-rater feedback, because we have multiple raters in this feedback process. We would be receiving the employee, whoever the employee communicates with or have an close contact with. So the management would be taking feedback from all that members. For example, if the employee has contact with other employees, right? So he or she would be taking feedback from friends, supervisor, manager, team lead, and the CEO or something, whoever is the head of the organization. They would be taking feedback from everyone, multiple raters, right? And also they would be sometimes taking feedback from the clients also. So you might have a doubt that how would the client would be knowing the performance of the employee. We won't be taking the feedback from all the customers or all the clients, but we will be only taking the feedback from that customer or clients whom the employee is in contact with. If he has a regular contact, as in he would be dealing with that customers or clients regularly, then only we would be taking the feedback from them. So there can be four different types components involved in it, that is self appraisal, superiors appraisal, subordinates appraisal, and peers appraisal, wherein the employee would be giving feedback about his performance. Then superiors appraisal is that our superior, whoever is our immediate superior, he or she would be giving the feedback about our performance. Then subordinates appraisal, whoever employees or beyond our role and hierarchical level, they would also be giving about feedback about your performance. And also peers appraisal, as in colleagues or your friends would also be giving evaluation about your performance. So in this 360-degree feedback, what you would be doing is that you would be doing average of all the feedbacks given. So when you are doing average, you would be getting average feedback, right? So that would be your evaluation of the performance. As you can see, employee would be given feedback from the top management, from the suppliers, from the clients, from other departments, representatives, co-workers, subordinates, manager. This is always, we don't take feedback from all of them. Only if the client has contact and communication with all of them, then only we will be taking feedback from them. That is about 360-degree feedback. Then comes assessment centers. So in these assessment centers, what we do is that there would be trained evaluator in these assessment centers, and these assessment centers would be in the organization only. In the organizations, there would be certain trained evaluators. So these trained evaluators, what they would be doing is that they would be calling few employees, and they would be giving certain tests or assignments to them in order to know their future performance. For example, if you wanted to promote an employee to the higher level, you wanted to know whether the employee would be doing good in that particular level or not. If you wanted to know that, what you will be doing, what the trainer would be doing is that he would be giving assignment related to that promoting level. So so that higher hierarchy would be having some tasks and responsibilities, right? So you would be giving assignments relating to that tasks and responsibilities, and you would be evaluating the performance of the employee, whether he or she is able to do that, take up that assignment and do it effectively or not. If the employee is doing that effectively, then you would be giving feedback to the organization that you can promote that particular individual to the higher hierarchy. If he or she is not being able to complete that assignment or not is good at that, what all skills are necessary for that employee to develop in order to move to the higher level positions, all that you would be giving to the management. So in these, mostly the skills which would be tested include interpersonal skills, intellectual capacity, planning and organizational capabilities, motivation, career orientation. All these skills would be tested in these assessment center. It is mostly because in these assessment centers we would be only checking whether the future capability or future potential of that particular employee, how he or she would be performing in the future. Then comes human resource accounting. So in these human resource accounting, what we would be doing is that in these human resource accounting, there would be HR department, right? So whenever the HR department selects an employee, allocates them a role, they would be having some particular role tagged, right? So they would be having some so what all cost has been put on this employee from selection, what all training has been given, what salary is given, whether there are any bonus or extra perks has been given to this employee. All the cost which you have put on that employee would be assessed. So they would be knowing how much cost or a monetary investment they have put on that particular employee. Then they would be looking at the performance of the employee. They would be evaluating the performance, what all tasks the employee has taken up, how effectively he or she has completed that task. So they would be comparing the cost and effect, whether the cost is whether the cost put on that employee is worth it or not. For example, if you spend some lakhs on that particular employee for training, giving salary, giving bonus, etc. And if the performance of the employee is not up to the mark, so your cost is going in vain, right? So in such situations, the management would be demoting the employee, or they would be canceling the contract with that employee, right? If it is up to the mark, mostly they would be seeing that whatever cost they have invested on that particular employee, so whatever they are getting should be more than that. The contribution of the employee should be more than the cost invested on that particular employee. So if it is like that, then they would be promoting the employee to the other hierarchical level. If not, they would be demoting the employee, or they would be just removing the employee from the organization. They would be taking steps based on that. That is about human resource account. So with this, we are done with both our traditional methods and also modern methods of performance evaluation. So can you tell me what is the difference between the modern methods and traditional methods? I'll tell you. So in traditional methods, there is very much subjectivity, right? The rater can rate based on his or her opinion. There is no particular criteria on which we are deciding. It is based on the rater. So there is very much subjectivity and bias is involved into the traditional method. So when we are talking about the modern methods, there is a very little bias into the modern methods, because you have particular criteria on which you are evaluating the performance of the employee. If the employee is not being able to meet that criteria, then you are taking certain actions based on that. Right? So this is modern methods are mostly objective and traditional methods are mostly subjective in nature. So we have a few more topics left, but we would be looking at them in the next class. So do you have any doubts? Any doubts regarding today's class?
No, ma'am. Thank you. Today's class was also very good, and as I mentioned yesterday, also, what all you like covered the topics, it's not there in our material. So thanks for the PPT. And the last one, the difference between the modern and the other method. Like that also, if you can include in the PPT.
I have included them, right?
Okay, I'll just check.
I'll be
Will you
sharing
place
that.
it in a group, madam?
Yes.
Are you keeping in a group?
I can't hear
Sharing
you.
in
I am sharing these particular PPT which we have did yesterday and today. I am just sharing it in the chat box. You please access that. I have just shared it. Please check that.
Okay.
You all can access, right? You please let me know so that I can leave and you can continue.
You can share it again, ma'am, because I joined 5-10 minutes late, I guess. Okay,
I
this
have
is the
just now. I have shared it just now.
selection training PPT. Yes, okay.
So these performance evaluation, I will be sharing in the next class after we are done with whole performance evaluation. Okay.
Fine. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Another 3 units, ma'am. Like 22, 23, 24. And 25.
Thank you, madam.
Yes, sure.
So, women's like we do have only 2 classes, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Yes, we are having 2 classes left. So in that 2 classes, we will be completing our remaining syllabus.
And a small recap of overall can be also given basically.
I think we don't have that much time in order to have basics of all the other offline classes also. If there is time left, then we would be having some recap of that also.
Ma'am, did you maintain any kind of notes or PPTs for that, ma'am?
No, because in the offline classes I would be using board, right? So if there is board, I would be doing these flow charts or something on the board itself. So that I would be using only board. So there is no PPTs. I did no PPTs for that.
Ma'am,
And can you share the PPT of yesterday's class also, ma'am? Last topic which you took yesterday.
I have shared it, this selection and training.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, thank you.
Today's class you will share it in the next part. Right?
Yeah, the training methods I have shared it, but regarding the performance evaluation, I'll be sharing it in the next class.
Okay, fine.
With your permission, if we cannot do any kind of recap or something, any kind of doubt, can we make a call?
Sorry?
If we cannot do any recap or something, which means like any topic, if I have any doubt, can I give a call to you, ma'am?
So yeah, we'll be looking in the next week. If there is no chance for that, then we would be discussing about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I would be leaving now. You continue with your next class. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.